Well, these nutjobs are hell-bent on starting nuclear war with Russia. Any rational person would say, hey, stop this right now, back the hell up. But we are not dealing with rational people. We're dealing with bloodthirsty, greedy con artists that are trying to get us all killed. And even before they get us all killed, they're disrupting massive supply lines that are crushing our economies and our way of life right now. So this weekend, we learned that NATO is actively trying to draw Putin into a nuclear war.
Poland is ready to host nuclear weapons if NATO wants to reinforce its eastern borders against Russia.
In other words, testing Putin to see if he's telling the truth or he's bluffing or not. Well, was he bluffing before? Does he ever bluff? Doesn't seem like he's the kind of bluffing guy. Maybe this time, though, he is. This weekend, Poland took the unbelievable next step in bringing long-range tactical nuclear weapons to Russia's doorstep. Poland says they're ready to host nuclear weapons, like hosting a cocktail party. So how's this going to go? Poland is now offering publicly its territory so that NATO can strengthen its eastern flank. In fact, Poland's president, Andrzej Duda, is really keen on the idea. Quote, I've already talked about it several times. I must admit that when asked about it, I declared our readiness, he said. In other words, please send the nukes here. NATO isn't commenting on this, of course, and sources say this is going to happen. And it's been in the works for a few years now. Part of this sharing agreement is that we get to use your land to hold our nukes, and then Poland gets to use them. Seriously, this comes right out of the mouth of Polish leadership, by the way. You can put them here, but we also want to know that we can use them. This is a direct nuclear threat to Russia. And if you think this is a fantasy, we also learned this weekend that Poland has been lying about a massive new infrastructure project that they've been building. Oh, yeah. Russia has been saying that Poland's new massive project is for military purposes. Housing nuclear weapons, launching long-range attacks at Russia. Poland's like, no. It's just, it's a new shopping center. We're going to have Starbucks. We'll have an H&M. Nothing to see here. Don't worry about it. It's called the Central Communications Port, or CPK for short. It's a transportation mega project, but it's just for shopping and transportation and buses. Nothing to worry about. So you can go there, you can take a bus all around Poland, you can take a train, you can buy your Starbucks, you can get some new clothing, nothing to worry about. Well, now we know the truth. Polish President Duda let the cat out of the bag and slipped up, making a huge mistake, admitting that, yes, in fact, this thing is basically an anti-Russian launch pad disguised as an infrastructure project. Here's exactly what Duda had to say. Quote, it's no secret to anyone, and I emphasize this, if a situation of potential danger for Poland were to occur and the relocation of additional Allied forces to Poland would be necessary to defend our territory, we do not currently have an airport that would be able to provide such support for the West to quickly come to Poland. In other words, this CPK is a massive staging area to accept NATO forces and to launch against Russia. So Russia was correct, and they were lying. Poland was lying about it. Duda last month said we are in a pre-war era. Pre-war era, similar to just before World War II, he said. So bring nuclear weapons to Poland ahead of the start of World War III. Great. These are Western leaders right now. Meanwhile, how's Russia responding to putting nukes in their backyard? Well, not well. And Putin is warning Poland, don't even think about doing this. Late this week, Russia warned Poland that it will make itself, quote, a priority target if it hosts NATO nuclear weapons on its territory. Putin says that Russia considers any expansion of NATO's nuclear sharing on Polish territory, quote, deeply destabilizing, end quote, and they won't stand for it. In fact, Russia called it a clear threat to their country. I spoke to Benjamin Abelo. He's the author of the great book, How the West Brought War to Ukraine. I highly recommend it. And he says the West is agitating for nuclear war.
I think there's a really great danger that most people in the West, they're busy thinking of how will this affect Ukraine? How will this affect Ukraine? How will this affect the U.S.-Russian relationship? And they're not thinking clearly enough about that we are taking it's a finite but a real risk of escalation to a nuclear level. So what really caught my eye right off the bat was the possibility of nuclear escalation to the nuclear level.
And of course, the nutjobs in Congress and others who are calling for a nuclear war are saying these are just tactical nukes. Like these are just going to be, we'll just wipe out a country. These aren't wipe out the whole world nuclear weapons. This is what they're thinking right now and talking about. Just look at the locations where the U.S. currently stores nuclear bombs in Europe.
U.S. tactical nuclear weapons are stored at 6 bases in 5 NATO member states. Belgium, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands and Turkey. As for France and the UK, the other two nuclear-armed NATO members, they have their own stockpiles and don't host US weapons.
Again, what would the United States do in such a situation? A nuclear power putting nukes in our backyard. Well, we would destroy them. We would never allow for it. And yet we're doing the exact same thing to Russia. Now, Russia says, quote, any nuclear weapons deployed to Poland would be a legitimate target. And they called them priority targets. I mean, this is madness. They are hell-bent on driving the West right into the ground right now. And all of these sanctions and isolating moves are creating interesting bedfellows. We just learned this week that North Korea is going to start helping Iran to create a united front against the United States. So Biden has done the impossible here. He's brought China and Russia closer together, North Korea and Iran closer together. How has this helped the United States in any way? It hasn't. It's had the exact opposite effect. Soaring energy costs, inflation, thanks to massive debt spending on war, 30% increases in rent, groceries, everything else in the United States. Way to go. And on top of that, sanctions that have brought other countries closer together, destabilizing entire regions, and all these countries turning away from the US dollar. So this is an absolute disaster. It's no wonder that President Biden's new poll numbers out this weekend show the lowest for an American president in 70 years. It's devastating.